Welcome back to Black News Tonight. As our country faces a long overdue reckoning with the problem of police violence, many have called for police reform. Others have called for defunding the police. But I, for one, say abolish the police. And I stand in a tradition of people who have said abolish the police. It ain't my idea. And tonight, I have maybe the best person right now on the scene to explain why abolition is so important. In her new book, Becoming Abolitionists, Police, Protests, and the Pursuit of Freedom, author Derecka Purnell chronicles her own journey towards embracing the politics of police abolition. She takes us all over the world through history of slavery and imperialism, and then brings it all the way back home to St. Louis to her own family and her comrades. She writes about the intersections of issues typically left out of the abolition conversation, and she tells us why they have to be included in our vision for 21st century abolition. Now, joining me without further ado is the woman of the hour, Derecka Purnell. She is a human rights lawyer. She's a writer. She's an organizer. Welcome to the show. It's always good to see you. Let's start from the beginning here, because I have an audience, and many of us have an audience, that are like, I don't know about abolition. And so I want you to help us understand, help my viewers understand, when we say we want police abolition, what does that mean?
Of course. Well, when I say that, I completely understand why people may be afraid, especially people who are vulnerable to all sorts of violence. And so when we say abolition, I'm speaking about the people who are fighting to reduce police, reduce our reliance on police, reduce the reasons why people think they need police, and ultimately make the institution obsolete. And one way we do that is by getting to the root causes of harm and violence in our society, which police can only not do, but actually perpetuate. And so police abolition is not, boom, snap your fingers, 18,000 law enforcement agencies disappear overnight, 1 million cops disappear overnight. But instead, it's about undermining the reasons why people think they need this violence and this violent institution to solve social harms. And so it comes from that long tradition of slavery abolition, where slavery abolition didn't mean we get rid of just slaves overnight, right? It took struggle, it took people running away, it took experimentation, it took a Reconstruction era that lasted briefly. And so we're trying to figure out, what is this society willing to do right now to make sure we're moving towards a more just society and reducing our reliance on one of the most oppressive institutions that exists, which is the police force.
One of my favorite parts of the book is actually toward the beginning of the book, when you chronicle your personal journey as a child living in St. Louis, and you talked about how y'all relied on the police, relied on 911 for almost everything, nosebleeds on the one hand, gunshot wounds on the other, and how you start by being somewhat reluctant, even repulsed initially by the idea of police abolition. How do you go from that, being repulsed by abolition, to being somebody?
Well,
yeah,
I mean, it's real, you know. I mean, when, especially in Black communities where there's so much divestment and so much exploitation, you would think that police are a default answer to all of our harms. That's because there's been so much divestment in all of the other areas that we have, right? Education has never been properly funded. There's substandard housing. You know, I grew up in a ghetto in South St. Louis. The last grocery store in that neighborhood closed in 2010. I'm talking about, you know, nearly 20 years ago. And so when police say Black people want us in our neighborhoods, Black people call 911, well, it's because it's often the only option and the most well-resourced. And to call it a resource just feels ridiculous, but it's the one thing that the city and the state and the federal government continues to fund, even when Black people are demanding more resources for our schools, for our homes, quality jobs, being able to work with a sense of dignity. Police, it's what's constantly funded. It's funded as a jobs program in our neighborhoods. And so I didn't automatically have this awakening. It took lots of study. It took me being curious enough to learn the history of police, the function of police. It took me being in organizing circles and being pushed by people who were more curious than I was, who had a well fleshed out political analysis that they were committing to developing over time. And then I started to understand what people meant when they said abolition, abolish prisons, abolish police, abolish the carceral state. And so that commitment to understanding, that commitment to learning other ways that we can fight for freedom ultimately pushed me from someone who was very curious about abolition to someone who became ultimately an abolitionist.
There are many people who are skeptical of abolitionists because they feel like we're some middle class, privileged people, at least at this stage in our lives, and we don't need police in the same way. That the people who are most affected by policing, yeah, they catch hell, they get beat by police, they get surveilled by police, they get stopped and frisked by police, but those are the people who also are the most vulnerable to violent crime. They're the people most vulnerable to rape. They're the people most vulnerable to burglaries, etc. And they need police. Their biggest fear, they would say, their biggest fear isn't police. It's people who look like them doing harm to them. How do we tell them that we're going to abolish police?
Yeah, I completely agree. If you look at the 911 calls, the people who call 911 the most to escape sexual violence, physical violence are Black women, right? It's the people who call 911 less than them are white women. Now we have to ask, why are white women relying on police less than Black women? And then we start looking at the numbers. We see that white women have more agency to leave because they have more of a social network. They have options. They get paid better. They have better educational attainment oftentimes. And so if they need to escape a violent situation, they have a therapist. They have a backup home. They have childcare. They have all of these other resources in order to make that move possible. But when you look at Black women, the level of exploitation that Black women have, the only thing that the city is willing to invest in for Black women is the police. Now we have to ask, are we going to continue to accept police as a cheap and violent way out of harm, or are we actually going to invest in what makes Black women particularly safe? Right. And so I don't dispute the fact that people who are poor, people who are exploited, people who are disabled, people who are immigrants have the most proximity to violence, because that's true. And the reason they have the most proximity to violence, including police violence, is because of that exploitation. And so we have a choice, right? We can undermine that exploitation and give people what they need to thrive, or we can continue to take the cheap way out by funding the police. And I hope we choose the former.
Before you go, what does your affirmative vision look like? As an abolitionist myself, I often get into conversations about what we don't want, what we want to get rid of, what we want to end. But I always like to have a conversation about the world we want to see. When you think about what an abolitionist world looks like, what a post-policing world looks like, describe it for me.
You want me to give away the book? Y'all gotta get to the conclusion to see the answer.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, give me one. Give me one.
Yes, I think about universal child care. And we may not typically associate that with the eradication of police, but it's one thing that a lot of us it would just give so many people agency to go back to school, to do the kind of work they want to do, to not have to be in an abusive relationship, as I describe in the book, because they need, to pay for daycare, right? So it's something like universal child care is so, so important because it frees people up to have the dignity and agency and self-determination to do the kinds of jobs and receive the kind of education that they want to pursue. And so I think, what would it look like to have 24-hour daycares instead of 24-hour police, right? We have police around the clock. Why can't we have, well quality daycare around the clock, right? Why do we have to, shame people for being exploited and not being able to afford to put their children in whatever kind of school and whatever kind of neighborhood? Why don't we just pay for that instead? Right. So I think of a 24-hour daycare. I'm giving one vision away that I have it in the book, but that matters so much to me because of the stories that I tell in this book are of at least one woman who could not escape an abusive relationship because she said, how am I going to pay for daycare? What am I going to do without the income of my partner? And so the more that we can figure out how to meet people's needs immediately, the more we can start working to meet those needs and build and fight for the sweeping policy changes to accomplish that.
Derecka, thank you so much for sharing your much needed ideas. By the way, Derecka and I will be doing a 1-hour conversation on Monday at Uncle Bobby's bookstore. So you can go to unclebobby's.com to get the full information on that event. I look forward to talking to you then. I love talking to you now. Thank you so much for joining us.